I need your help this week because I want to get your take on what is wrong with skill-based matchmaking, what is right with skill-based matchmaking, and who it helps. So I've broken it out. I've made this pretty easy to kind of work through, but again, I need your help to see if I'm on the right path or not. I have broken up skill-based matchmaking into two different categories. All right, so on your screen right now, you are gonna see what we call the performance curve or the bell curve. And essentially what that is it is taking all the ranks and all the skills of the players and putting them into different categories. Now, this is mostly used in the business world, the bell curve. So you have your bottom players, your middle players, and your top players. In this diagram, we've even kind of added some extra groups in there to, essentially match up with some of the rankings. And I utilize Apex rankings for the test subject in here. Not necessarily the game, because almost all games have a ranking system. Overwatch is very similar as well, with the difference of like Predators, it's Grandmasters. But I just use Apex as a visual, right? When I talk about skill-based matchmaking, this is for all games. Okay, so let me start with the top performers. So we're going to look at Platinum all the way to Predator. So we hear a lot from these folks, right? We hear how bad skill-based matchmaking is from these folks quite frequently. And typically the argument that can be made is that they don't want two ranked modes. They want one that's ranked, so that way when they go in, they're playing the top of the top players, right? And when they're playing pubs, then they're essentially put in and they can play whoever might be queued up at that time, right? And a lot of times we'll hear that those are bot lobbies, quote unquote bot lobbies, right? Doesn't mean that that's the case all the time, but it seems to happen less frequently now, or less frequently when skill-based matchmaking is put in. Now, who does it hurt when skill-based matchmaking gets put in? Typically, it's going to hurt your platinum players all the way up to Predator, right? Or like an Overwatch Grandmaster, or so on and so forth. So what that means is when they're dropping into pubs, they're going to play, let's say I'm a Predator, I'm going to play mostly Masters and Diamond players and some Platinum players, okay? And if I am in Plat, I'm probably going to play a lot of Plat and Gold players. And if I'm lower than that, I'm probably going to play rookies through Bronze and Silver, right? And the argument to be made is we just take skill-based matchmaking all the way out, so that way a Predator can essentially be in the same lobby as a Bronze, right? And another argument that's made on that is that in order to become a better player, you should be playing people at a higher skill level. So let's take that in theory. We're going to put that in our pocket and we're going to revisit that in a little while. But that's essentially what would happen if we take skill-based matchmaking out. Now, most of the polls or most of the complaints that we hear are going to be from high-level players that are talking about it, that don't want to quote or unquote sweat, right? Now, what does that do for a game? Well, for your high-end players, it definitely is going to make the game a little bit more enjoyable without skill-based matchmaking. We saw that in Destiny when they put it in and take it away. And then we see that in other games. Specifically, I think right now Apex is one that just crushes me because I go in and, I'm playing a lot of Preds and Masters in pubs. Your Predators and your Masters are really going to benefit from that. So who's not going to benefit, in my opinion? Diamonds, Platinums, Gold, Silvers, and Bronze players. And again, we're going to pull that argument back out that says, hey, in order to get better, you should be playing better players. Well, if we're actually using that argument, unless you're the number one Pred in the world, wouldn't that argument still apply to every single player in the game? Think about that for a minute, right? So let's say you're a Predator and you're ranked 605. So you're going in to play pubs and you want to play somebody better to get better. Wouldn't it be better for you to be in pubs with all 750 Predators? That to me would help you get better, just like a Bronze, right? Should be in Bronze lobbies and Silver lobbies. Let's look at the bottom performers, okay? Or the lower performers, the below average. So that would typically be your Gold, Silver, Bronze, and Rookie. And you could say like your gold and platinum are typically like your middle ground, right? So you're stuck somewhere in the middle. If they're introduced to, say, diamond, masters, predators, right? They have to play both ranges, right? Because in order for them to get a fun lobby, quote unquote lobby where they're not sweating, they have to have majority of bronze players in there, right? So do you see how the lower the rank you are, the more this doesn't make sense, just because that means you're playing higher ranks than you. And yes, can it make you better? Yeah, sometimes it can. But that means you're constantly sweating and sweating at a higher level. So hear me out on this one. Again, let's use that pred analogy. Let's say I'm 100 pred, right? I'm the number 100 pred in the world. There's 99 preds that are better than me, and there's, essentially 650 preds that I've outperformed in this season, right? I get to go in a lobby and face bronze and silver players and get my 20 bombs and all that stuff and show how good I am. Okay, great, right? Okay, that's awesome. Easy game. You're not sweating. That's what not sweating would be with skill-based matchmaking, right? Or you can go into a game in Destiny, I see this all the time, where you can go drop a 50 or 60 bomb game, right? Show how good you really are. Now, let's say you're just starting the game out and you're dropping into a pub, and this is a very real scenario that happened if you've seen my other videos. Brand new number 1 player, playing with a couple of players that just came over to PC. So I think my account, it's way under 100, so it's probably 50. My boy Jaeger's account was probably like 150. The highest I had ever gotten was Platinum 4 on this account, which was last season, because I'm only 2 seasons in my PC account. Highest Jaeger's ever gotten was Plat 4. And our friend comes in as a number 1, day 1 player and gets killed by an active predator. Think about that for a second. Active predator. Okay, cool. Right? That's a one-time thing. Not a big deal. Crazy to me because it was 1 pred and 2 masters on that team. So, not hating on them for triple stacking. I get it. Rank's kind of broken right now, but that did happen. And I was like, okay, that might have been an anomaly. Drop in again, had a couple of good fights, and then we hit another master squad. Now this time I think it was 2 masters and a diamond. Again, none of us have been diamond, right? And our friend, brand new player on the day, but again, we get killed by masters players. Well, we went through the next couple of days, and one of my friends, just deemed it Super Sweat Saturday because we were only dying to masters teams, and we were dying pretty frequently. Like, it felt like we were in ranked, and we weren't in ranked lobbies. That's the crazy thing. Now, the argument that could be made there is, brand new player playing with us. Our accounts were fairly new as well. So for skill-based matchmaking, this is what happened. Okay. Since that weekend, right, that we were playing all these super sweats that weren't in ranked, our friend quit playing Apex altogether. So think about that. That's new players coming to the game, quit playing it altogether. They didn't say it was because of the skill-based matchmaking, but I can tell that they didn't have a lot of fun. And it was just too hard for us to, win through some fights, right? Because we weren't playing people of our own skill. I'm not a predator. I've never been a predator, right? I was masters once on PS4, never a masters in PC lobbies. So why am I playing masters players? Making it to plat, I think as high as I should be in skill-based matchmaking is diamond players in pub. Now I go back to rookie, and somebody that hasn't went through ranked is playing against predators already, and that turned them off of the game. You're not bringing more people to the game. So all these folks that are talking about taking skill-based matchmaking out of the game, this is what you're doing to your game. Over time, when you have a bunch of new players come in and they're getting pub stomped, right? And you're getting your badges and you're having a lot of fun, and maybe it's content creation or whatever the case might be, which I totally understand. You're losing a new player base. They're going to play different games, and they're going to play newer games that there's not established good players already, right? And the whole theory of, well, you got to play better players to get good. Yeah, that's fair enough. But why should the top players be playing with the bottom players, right? I saw a quote in a news article. That's the equivalent of LeBron James going to play a pickup game at the YA. And that's what's frustrating with skill-based matchmaking, because if we take it out, it will benefit your top players, your higher performers. But your lower performers, it's not going to benefit at all. And I just want to queue up just a few things when we're looking at poor performers here. One, these folks could be new to the game or only putting in an hour or two in the game every week, right? So maybe they don't play ranked. They just want to go into pubs and have some fun. If you take that away, they're going to go to a different game, which ultimately for the players that are putting thousands of hours in this game, when you're losing player base, that means the developers have to look somewhere else to either a new game or to build revenue. That's just the world that we live in. Does it suck? Yes. Do I wish that I could put 40, 50, 60 hours into a game to become better? Yes, I absolutely do. Do I think that I could be Predator level? No. For the most part, I don't want to get stomped day after day after day, game after game after game, playing against people that are 2 or 3 skill levels ahead of me, because that doesn't help me get better either, right? Go back to my theory with LeBron James at the Y. If LeBron always has the ball and I can never touch the ball, am I really getting any better? Fun to watch the guy, but am I really getting any better? Probably not. So think about that for a minute. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you not agree with what I'm saying? I would love to hear where you're at in your gaming experience. Do you feel like you're casual, maybe in the average, below average, maybe above average, or maybe you're a predator? I want to hear from everybody. Why do you think it's good? Why do you think it's not good? Why do you think it's good for pros? And why do you think it's good for casuals? And how you would implement a system? It'd be great to hear. We could do a follow-up later on that. You know who I am. You can call me Soul. You can call me Betty. You can call me anything you like, as long as you hit that like and subscribe down below. Have a wonderful weekend.